Welcome back. So far in this section we have put code onto game objects so that you can actually move them around with the mouse. Now what I want to do is to draw a line between these two, and I don't want to use the line renderer. I'm going to use the Unity GL API. Now if you don't know how to use that, which I didn't before I started asking Muse how to actually put it together, then this is a really good way of learning something new, basically. So in here I'm going to start a new chat because we don't want the context of having to move these balls around getting mixed up in this new code. So I'm going to say I have two game objects. I would like to draw a line between them in screen space using the Unity GL API. Okay, so let's see how we go with this. Alright, so now it's come back to me with not a full piece of code, but a description. Now this is quite interesting because last time I asked it to do this, which was off screen when I was testing things out, it actually just gave me the code. This time it's gone through and told me how to do it and what I need to do. So this is actually really good from an educational point of view, that it's sort of stepped you through, do this. So first of all, convert world positions to screen space, and this is the code that you do that. Then you make a material in order to show it off, and then you actually do an on-post render, and it's the on-post render that's the thing that's drawing the lines between the 2 points. Okay, so that's all very nice. So let's ask it, can you give me a class to achieve this? And of course I'm just being a little bit lazy here because I could put a script together and put all that code in there, but instead I'm going to get Muse to just generate it all for me. Alright, so here it is. Here's my script. Okay, it's called line drawer. It takes two game objects and it creates a line material, which it then sets up in start, and then it has this on post render, which is what's needed in order to use the GL API. Okay, so we're going to copy that. Now it's called line drawer, so go back into the project, create a new C# script called line drawer. Okay, and then let's open that up. We're going to select everything in there and paste it in. Okay, so just save that and let's go back into Unity, and I'm going to create a new game object which will be called my line drawer. Drag and drop line drawer onto there, and it needs two game objects passed through in the inspector like that. Okay, let's press play, and it's not showing up. Okay, so I know why it's not. Let's see if we can get Muse to tell you why it isn't showing up. Right, so let's come down into here and we'll say something like the code compiles, but nothing is being drawn. Alright, so let's come back up to the top here. Now what it's saying is if your code is compiling but nothing is being drawn, there could be several reasons. So first of all, camera attachment. Verify that the line drawer script is attached to an active camera, which it's not because we have it attached to this line draw game object, which has nothing to sort of do with the camera. So that's definitely what's going on in this particular case. Other issues that it comes through with is make sure that you've got your game objects assigned in the inspector, so sphere 1 and sphere 2, which they are. The camera activity, check that the camera is active, basically, the one that you're attaching your script to. The material needs to exist and be set up correctly, which the code is doing, so we're assuming that's working. And then positioning and visibility. We want to make sure that game object 1 and game object 2 are inside of the camera viewing volume, otherwise you're not going to get a line. Now they definitely are inside of the camera because we can see them. The only problem is that we just have the script attached to something that's not a camera. So I'm going to delete the line drawer and put line drawer just up here. Okay, so I can now put sphere 1 and sphere 2 into there. Let's press play and see how we go with that. Right, okay, still not drawing. So at this point, if you're not familiar with the context of what you're actually trying to achieve, such as the GL API, it's probably worth going back into a new Muse chat session and starting even more basic. Okay, so let's try that. I'm going to go to a new Muse chat. The reason I'm doing this is when you're trying to learn yourself about these complex things and you want to have a discussion with the AI, your code can start to get very messy and you can get very lost in the concepts that you're trying to put together. So let's take a step back, and we just want a script that's going to draw a line on the screen using the GL API. Okay, so I'm going to ask Muse in a new chat, create a class that will draw a line on the screen using the Unity GL API. Right, so let's see what it gets for us and whether that will actually work or not when we use it. So we're not complicating the issue with the positions of the spheres or anything. We are just going to draw a line. Okay, so here it comes. It's going to give me line draw. It's called again, which is, I guess, fine because that's what it's already called. So that makes it easy for us to change. Okay, so here's the script. Here it's saying to create a class in Unity that draws a line in the screen using the GL API. You can follow this example. So here's our example. It's got the public line material in it this time. It's not actually creating the material from scratch. So let's ask it to do that. Can you modify it to create the material? So it's going to give us hopefully code back that will have that material already created in that script, so we don't have to create it in the project. Right, so here we go. Private material, that's good, and it's creating the material in the start and then giving us that code. Okay, looks good. Right, so let's copy that. We're going to go into our line drawer. We want to select all of that was in there, and you might have quickly noticed a few other debug lines that I actually tried to put in there off camera. So now this is what we've got. We've got our line material, and we're going to draw two lines from, if you have a look at these vertex values, which is 0, 0, and then 1, 1. So this is going to be diagonally across the screen in the line color. Okay, so let's save that. I'm going to go back into Unity. Now that script should still be attached to my main camera. So I'll check that before I press play. Yep. So press play, and let's see that we're actually getting a line drawing on the screen. Yes, there it is. So diagonally going from here to here. Fair enough. Okay, so let's now see if we can maybe specify the location of the ends of this line. So let's go back to the Muse chat, and we're going to see if we can specify the position. So can you add code so we can specify the ends of the line using game objects that are passed to the script. Right, so we've come back to our code, and we're passing through a start point and an end point, which are our game objects. We are setting up the material again, and then coming into here and using the start point and end point of the objects inside of the code here. So this looks a lot simpler than what we had before. So let's copy this and we will go back into our script, select it all, paste in the new code, and then save it. Let's go back into Unity. Okay, so select the camera, give it our start point and our end point. Then we will press play and see how we go. Okay, great. Now we can move these around and we still draw that line between them. So what can we learn from this? Well, once you get too complicated and beyond sort of the depth of your own knowledge, it becomes really hard to debug what's going on. Now, I thought I was starting simple by putting in the movement of these two spheres and then leaving it that, and then getting the line drawn between the spheres. But if you think about what are the steps in drawing, or what are the fundamental concepts in drawing a line on the screen between two spheres? Well, first of all, there's the drawing of the line, and then there's getting the position of the spheres to use as the end points. Now, while that sounds like a great idea to do it all at once, you can see how that did not work initially. So by dialing it back and saying, okay, just draw any line on the screen, it gets that bit to work first, and then we can build on top of that code that was working for the drawing of the line by then setting the end positions of these spheres. Okay, now one more thing we're going to do with this is we're going to introduce a UI text box, which is going to sit halfway between these 2 points and present us with the distance of this line. So we'll come back and start doing that in the next video.